Say that I hold very similar views to the views expressed by Professor Shoyinka, and that no matter how many, unfortunately, in the throes of frustration, Professor Shoyinka has identified with the current attempt at regionalization. And I don't see this as regionalization. This is an attempt to see what we can get out of the frustration of what we call the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The fact remains that I don't know what my colleagues are talking about in the sense that there is little or nothing you can do with a huge federal government or federal system. Let me not say federal government because the federal government is usually very apprehensive when you call them in such discussions. Let me speak in the way Professor Shoyinka did. If you listen to him, he said different scenarios without calling names. Without even calling, okay, well, he identified governors and members of the National Assembly and judiciary, but he avoided the federal government and all that. But the way it is, there is no way any state government or any region can survive without we unbundling the federal system. So if you ask me now, what am I doing in education? The only thing I can do in education is because the federal government or the federal system has abandoned education and appears not to be pursuing anything they want to do in that area. So we can go into it, and the Constitution provides for us an opportunity to go into education. But beyond that, beyond what we are doing in education is the fact that we are doing quite a lot in power, but we can't proceed further because the federal government has refused for us to proceed further. So you have a state like Rivers State with 45 megawatts of power generated, but we can't distribute because the federal government has refused to allow us to distribute. And if we have that opportunity, you have an opportunity where everybody in Rivers State will have access to power. So I join Professor Shoyinka in saying that the federal structure is too heavy and we need to unbundle the federal structure. If you say, what are you doing in education? Quite a lot. But the foundation of education is in primary education. Primary education by the Constitution, the same Constitution the National Assembly is talking about, is the responsibility of the local government. The local government lacks the capacity whatsoever, either by administration or by finance or whatever, to run education. And if they lack that capacity, then how do you develop education when the foundation of education is kept in an ineptitude hand? So education you cannot succeed in making any progress in education by the current constitution. The federal government or the National Assembly must recognize the fact that we need, I don't know in what way, we need to discuss issues. We need to discuss the way forward. If it's regionalization, the way we are going, we need to regionalize and reduce a too big federal government in such a manner that will allow the states to develop according to their pace. We are currently not developing according to our pace. States are asked not to even develop at all until you are given permission to develop. So for us, for education, we have looked at the situation, we have said from when we came to the past, we leave it as it is and begin to make gradual correction, while establishing a new form of education where those who are attending primary education will have quality and not too quantitative, and progress from there to secondary, which is the responsibility of both federal government and the states, and then proceed to the tertiary education. But I repeat, and I'm here that I'm happy, Prof, that you spoke in the presence of the leader of the Senate and members of the National Assembly, that if we don't unbundle the federal system the way it is now, we may not make any progress.